So, boys and girls, Take-Two Interactive is officially set to acquire the Borderlands developer Gearbox from the Embracer Group for $460 million, boys and girls. Literally almost less than half of what Take-Two or what Embracer Group initially acquired Gearbox for from the very beginning just a few years ago. And it's one of them situations where this is the same company that's responsible for taking what was once the great and fun Borderlands franchise and turning it into a bunch of woke garbage nonsense that absolutely everybody hated and despised and is simply universally lauded as a terrible game, the third game of Borderlands. And guess what, boys and girls? It hasn't got much better since then. And so color me shocked that now go woke, go broke is exactly happening, because now they're having to literally sell this off in a fire sale for less than half of what they initially acquired for it. And guess what? They did it to themselves. Embracer Group is the one that decided to interact with Sweet Baby Inc. to take their advice, to take on their counseling, and go ahead and push full bore the agenda-driven nonsense into what was an over-the-top, absolutely fun and ridiculous and crazy game that was the Borderlands story, and try to force their agenda to it, essentially completely and totally destroying the franchise. And it's why no one has any hope for the Borderlands series going forward. But apparently Take-Two thinks that they're going to be able to buy this and actually turn it around, or who knows, maybe they're going to sell it off for scrap. But as of right now, we're going to find out exactly what they're talking about. So here, this is from Variety. Take-Two Interactive to acquire Borderlands developer Gearbox from Embracer Group for $460 million. Take-Two Interactive has acquired video games developer Gearbox for the maker of the Borderlands franchise from Embracer Group for $460 million. Per Take-Two, the company expects the transaction to deepen a successful relationship with Gearbox Entertainment and to provide increased financial benefits through a fully integrated operational structure. Essentially, they're going to absorb it completely and totally inside of their own company. Gearbox is no longer going to be a separate studio. It's going to be completely and totally part of Take-Two, probably very similar to what it was before with the Embracer Group, and exactly why they didn't get to do what they wanted. They get to do what the corporate dogma told them. As part of the deal, Take-Two will acquire Gearbox IP, including Borderlands and Tiny Tina's Wonderland franchises games published by Take-Two, as well as Homeworld, Risk of Rain, Brothers in Arms, and Duke Nukem. Obviously, we all love Duke Nukem around here. It's another great game, another great, wonderful franchise. But obviously, Borderlands is the big ticker here, right here. It's the big seller, the big ticket item in the last few years. Currently, Gearbox has 6 very key interactive entertainment projects in various stages of development, per Take-Two, which includes 5 sequels, 2 from Borderlands and Homeworld universes, and at least 1 exciting new intellectual property, all of which have been acquired in the sale. Take-Two's purchase of Gearbox is expected to close in June, pending regulatory approval. Upon completion, Gearbox will operate as a studio within 2K, continuing to be led by Gearbox CEO Randy Pitchford and his management team. So yeah, it's one of them situations where this is exactly what's going on to a lot of the different kind of stuff out there. Former Gearbox owner Embracer, a Swedish gaming conglomerate who snapped up the rights to Lord of the Rings, how'd that go, has undergone severe restructuring program over the past year, which has seen the company shut down or dispose of dozens of game studios and its titles, lay off hundreds of staffs, resulting in aftershocks that have reverberated throughout the entire game industry. The sale of Gearbox marks the latest instance of Embracer unloading assets following the company's divesting Saber Interactive. And why? Why have they had to do this? Because they put a bunch of AAA games out there with a bunch of garbage nonsense that did not appeal to their fans, that did not go with the same spirit of what those games had always been about, with the community and the fellowship around those games that expected to hear from them for so very long. And instead, they decided to go with the agenda-driven nonsense because they, just like so many others, bought off on the marketing scam, on the absolute hustle that was the fact that these shows and this new woke agenda driven stuff, all this diversity and inclusion nonsense, was going to be a big thing going forward. And now it has miserably failed once again and has almost completely and totally devastated the Borderlands franchise. And now Gearbox has to be sold off yet again to another partner at a discount price in order to even be viable again. Maybe they can do something with it. I don't know, but this is what they say. Our acquisition of Gearbox is an exciting moment for Take-Two and will strengthen our industry-leading creative talent and portfolio of owned intellectual property, including the iconic Borderlands franchise. Take-Two CEO said, "This combination enhances the financial profile of our existing projects with Gearbox and unlocks the opportunity for us to drive increased long-term growth by leveraging the full resources of Take-Two across all of Gearbox's exciting initiatives." Now, I played some Take-Two games and I haven't enjoyed them, so maybe this is a good sign. Maybe this will actually end up panning out for the Borderlands franchise. Maybe we'll actually get get some good Borderlands games going forward. But honestly, at this time, if it comes from a mainstream studio out there inside the gaming industry, I don't trust any of them any more than I trust any of the guys out there in Hollywood to try to make remakes or redos or reboots or any of that other kind of nonsense out there. I don't trust these video game companies, and the Borderlands is already a damaged brand. And of course, Embracer Group is the one that's solely responsible for that. They had a once incredible game franchise that a lot of people loved and enjoyed and couldn't wait for the next one, to something that no one really talks about. It just goes, oh yeah, you remember those Borderlands games? Yeah, 1 and 2 was great, but man, that third one sucked. That's literally how all of the conversations go around Borderlands now. So we'll see what happens. You know what? You pull off a good game, Take-Two Interactive, you'll get the fans back. That's generally how things end up going. But at the end of the day, we'll have to wait and see what happens. So this might be a good thing for Borderlands, or it might just be more of the same. Only time will tell. But either way, it's another good sign of Embracer Group being another one of those situations that go woke, go broke happened. And now not only are they downsizing, but they're selling off all their assets. And hey, you get what you deserve.